Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Film Feast. My name is Sam Donches, and we have a lot to talk about this week, so I'm going to go as fast as possible and condense everything as best as I can. Let's get right into it. And stick around till the end of the video for your chance to win a digital copy of Looper. Yeah! In an interview with the Daily Beast, Mark Webb said that he will not be directing The Amazing Spider-Man 4. Just weeks after it was confirmed that Mark Webb would be directing The Amazing Spider-Man 3, he says this in an interview, and you know what? I don't really care anymore. Although I am happy that Mark Webb will now be putting his talents, towards something that's not a big budget action superhero movie. I watched the newest trailer that came out this past week, which was dubbed, the final trailer, which is dumb. Sony, you're drunk. I actually really want to see it now. I've given up on the idea that the new Spider-Man films are going to have some great characterization in them. It's really just all about the action. And after bashing my head over and over and over again with trailer after trailer, I finally am submitting and saying, Sony, you know what? You look like you have a decent action film on your hands. I don't give a shit about these characters, but you know what? I will go see it. And I guess I won't be a total pain in the ass about it.
On to the next one, money in my pocket!
In an interview with IGN, Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow confirmed that a character from the original Jurassic Park would be returning for Jurassic World. Actor B.D. Wong will be returning as Dr. Henry Wu, otherwise known as the only Asian guy in Jurassic Park. Dr. Wu was a much larger character in the original Jurassic Park novel, as he was sort of the under-heralded genius behind de-extinction. Trevorrow states that the character was kind of living in John Hammond's shadow for 2 decades, and he really wants to explore more of that story. Colin Trevorrow also addressed why he won't be bringing back more prevalent characters in this new movie, like Alan Grant and Ian Malcolm and so on and so forth, stating that it just wouldn't feel right to just shoehorn them into this story. These characters just wouldn't go back to this island unless the writers contrived a reason for them to do so. Despite not having any of these iconic characters come back, I'm still very, very excited for Jurassic World. The film is currently shooting in Hawaii, but will be in New Orleans in just a matter of months. Deadline.com reports that Sofia Coppola will helm an adaptation of The Little Mermaid for Universal, which feels appropriate for Sofia Coppola, whose films have an air of whimsy about them, whether it be the pop stylistics of Marie Antoinette or the dark, faux fairy tale that is The Bling Ring. It just makes sense that the next logical project for her is a literal fairy tale adaptation. While I'd love for Sofia Coppola to continue making idealistic films with a very specific individual style that is solely hers, I'm very happy for her. This is a big leap for her career, and I'd kind of imagine for a Little Mermaid adaptation to be a bit of a challenge for a director. Filming several scenes underwater, I'm thinking like at least a quarter of the movie is set underwater. If she were to decide to tackle those scenes practically and actually shoot them underwater, that's tough. That's tough for, the actor and the director alike. I'm just happy she's not adapting the film for Disney. They would like to keep their characters in a bubble, whereas making the film for Universal, Sophia can kind of take more liberties with the characters. This past Tuesday, Disney head Bob Iger held an investors meeting. Money talk, here we go. No. Don't turn the video off. I was kidding. Bob Iger actually confirmed that Pixar is developing The Incredibles 2 and Cars 3. As it would so happen, the fantastic director of the first Incredibles, Brad Bird, is working on the story for the second film. This is a big surprise. No one had any real clue that The Incredibles 2 was going to happen. Seeing as The Incredibles is arguably one of the best Pixar movies, it is great news to hear that, Brad Bird is working on the story and hopefully directing, please? And you know what, Disney Pixar? About Cars 3, do what you need to do to sell your merchandise. I've been to Cars World in Disneyland, and those shelves are still stocked full of the same exact toy over and over again, repeated on license plates and stickers and postcards and the same stuff. You guys have got to attach wings and missile launchers and neons to these cars to make them still cool. Do what you need to do, Disney. Anyway, back to this investors meeting. It was also made official that Star Wars Episode 7 will take place 30 years after Return of the Jedi. The film will star a trio of new young leads. Last week I brought to you the short list of actors, which include Jesse Plemons and John Boyega. But you know what? Most of this information feels like old news. A lot of it was mostly assumed, like the whole 30 years after Return of the Jedi. Duh. And it is sort of nice to know that they have, the three main characters planned out. There's been a lot of kind of inner problems with the screenwriting process here, and makes me a little bit worried, but you know what? I have faith in the writing team of this movie. Star Wars Episode 7 starts shooting in May, and hopefully we have a real title by then. The final release date is so far off that I just don't care right now. Maybe once 2015 gets a little bit closer, I'll start worrying about production details, but until then, it's whatever. Now, in news that everyone is angry about, Ivan Reitman has exited the director's chair for Ghostbusters 3, which is still apparently happening despite Harold Ramis's death. And the studios still want cameras rolling by early 2015. Admittedly, I'm not the biggest Ghostbusters fan in the world, but even I know when something seems really stupid. And again, I don't like to glorify rumors, but there may be a silver lining. Former Deadline editor-in-chief Nikki Fink says that she's heard from her personal sources that Phil Lord and Chris Miller might be directing Ghostbusters 3. With 22 Jump Street coming out in just a couple of months, the two directors don't have any other projects lined up after that. Could Ghostbusters 3 be that project? I don't know. It's a big rumor right now. I think it would be pretty cool to see them take on such an obvious challenge, a film that has now more than ever less people rallying behind it. If there were any directors out there who could still save this thing, I think it would be those two guys. I know it seems like I talk about Attack the Block every week on this show, and this week is no different. According to TheWrap.com, Attack the Block director Joe Cornish will direct Section 6. The film will feature the first MI6 director, Sir George Mansfield Cummings, and he will be played by Jack O'Connell, who I've only seen in This Is England, but I love that movie. I have been waiting, admittedly impatiently, for Joe Cornish's next big project. He helped write on the Adventures of Tintin movie, and is also going to help write the Ant-Man movie, but he hasn't really stepped up to the plate to direct anything since Attack the Block. And a historical spy thriller just might be perfect for Cornish. If he takes the Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy angle at it, really, that intrigues me, fascinates me, excites me. I can't wait. This next story comes from The Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision, and I wasn't really sure if it was more television news or movie news, but it's kind of bringing a television show to movies. George R.R. Martin spoke with The Hollywood Reporter, stating that he wanted his last book to be adapted not into a whole season of HBO's Game of Thrones, but into a movie of its own. Game of Thrones showrunners D.B. Weiss and David Benioff recently said that they want the show to go to 7 or 8 seasons, and then past that, it all depends on what George R.R. Martin writes. The man obviously has his own vision for what he wants this final book to be, even stating, something like $100 million budget, 2 hours. The man wants an epic. He wants the final Song of Ice and Fire book to be brought to a screen fit for the big-ass dragons that he writes about. For now, it's all just speculation. We can't take George R.R. Martin too seriously, but let's be honest, we all really want to. It was announced a while back that Tom Hardy was going to be starring in the Splinter Cell movie, but it had no director, and now it does. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Doug Liman is that director. What else has he done? I'm going to look it up on my fancy phone because I still apparently feel like wasting time. Wow. A lot of these future credits for him have question marks by them. Doug Liman is known as the director of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, as well as The Bourne Identity. He directed that Jumper movie. You remember the one. And he actually has a movie coming out this year, Edge of Tomorrow, starring Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt. It's a sexy time travel, exoskeleton, sci-fi, explosion action movie. Woo-hoo! There's no doubt that during the press tour for that movie, he'll be asked all about his new Splinter Cell movie, and he'll say something like, I'm directing the movie and it'll be really good. You know what? I'm probably not giving Doug Liman enough credit. I'm pretty excited for this movie because of Tom Hardy, not because of Doug Liman. From TheWrap.com, you've probably heard about Aaron Sorkin's biopic for Steve Jobs. No, not that one. This one doesn't have a director yet, although the studios are obviously vying after David Fincher because of Sorkin and Fincher's very successful team up, The Social Network. You remember it, you might like it, but David Fincher will not direct this biopic unless Christian Bale stars as Steve Jobs. You know what, I think there's a pretty good resemblance there, and if David Fincher doesn't direct it, I don't think it's the end of the world. Gonna burn through these last two stories. Thank you guys for watching this far. You're amazing. Deadline reports that The Grudge is going to be brought back as a reboot. Amongst a very large team of producers and executive producers, Sam Raimi is going to help out in producing this film. The Grudge has already been remade for American audiences, starring Sarah Michelle Gellar. I haven't seen any of them, and it's because I'm scared. Seriously though, the Japanese know how to make one hell of a jump scare horror film, and you can bet a hot dollar that I will not be seeing this in theaters. Ooh, I was sassy on that last one. Final story of the week comes from The Hollywood Reporter's Heat Vision. Andy Serkis will direct The Jungle Book for Warner Brothers. Originally, the film was going to be directed by Alejandro González Iñárritu, but he exited the film, and then the studio was eyeing Ron Howard, and then I guess Ron Howard suggested that Andy Serkis would direct the film. The man has only directed second unit stuff for the Hobbit films, but he does have a wide range of experience doing motion capture across the Lord of the Rings films, the first Hobbit film, the new Planet of the Apes movies, as well as King Kong. And I think that work will help, allow him to embody these characters and really kind of figure out what they're all about. And while my knee-jerk reaction was just like, no, I'm okay with this now. This film is being put in direct competition with Disney's live-action Jungle Book movie, which is being directed by Jon Favreau. I think it'll be interesting to see these two adaptations do battle and just see who is the more talented director, the seasoned Favreau or the newcomer Andy Serkis. And now, as if this episode wasn't already long enough, it's time for the trailer of the week. This week's featured trailer is for The Maze Runner. Usually I don't like to hype anything related with, young adult fiction, but you know what, with this one, I am actually pretty excited for it. It's directed by Wes Ball, and this trailer is tense. If you don't know who Wes Ball is, he directed an amazing short animation called Ruin. Shortly after Ruin blew up online, Fox approached Wes Ball and said, "We want to make this into a full-length feature, but first we want you to direct an adaptation for us." The movie is about a group of young men who've been captured and put into the middle of a maze. The main character, played by Dylan O'Brien, doesn't know his name and apparently doesn't know anything before getting captured. There's a twist in this trailer where the young men find a girl. What are these young men, gonna do? These young teenage men gonna do around this one girl? There's a lot that can be said there, and I hope that Wes Ball doesn't punk out, and I hope that he tries to make some sort of commentary on such a thing happening. Again, this trailer is tense. I'm very, very intrigued by what I saw in it, and you should check it out. The link is in the D-Box. And now for the giveaway! This week I am giving away the Ultraviolet code for Looper. It was my second favorite film of 2012. To enter, post in the comment section, tell me what your favorite part of Looper was. Heck, you know what? Just talk about anything from this past week in film news. And ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this week's Film Feast. I will see you next week. Thank you for watching. Another episode that is getting to you guys much later than I would have wanted. I do apologize, but again, the day job is the only thing supporting me right now, and it is the priority. One quick note, the buttons you see below for the Facebook page, the Letterboxd account, and my Twitter page are not actually functional. You have to go to the description box to actually get links to them. But you can still click right through the annotations to get links to TV Dinner, The Appetizer, or last week's episode of The Film Feast. It's a work in progress, but I still have to thank my friend Daniel Small for making this thing usable and beautiful. Sirens going by in the night, bring out your dead, motherfucker. I hate these fucking sirens, shut up!